Today, I'm talking about how to heal fatty liver disease. Here's what you need to do. First thing we got to understand about fatty liver disease is it used to be only associated with alcoholics. We called it alcoholic fatty liver disease. And really only over the last 30 to 40 years has there been an increase in a condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFLD, right? And so this condition has grown, particularly as our consumption of high fructose corn syrup in particular, or fructose consumption, has grown, right? And so we know that many years ago, food manufacturers started putting high fructose corn syrup in a lot of the foods, particularly soft drinks. They're loaded with high fructose corn syrup. We know that's extremely damaging to liver cells and ends up causing liver cell death and ends up causing an accumulation of visceral fat around the liver that we call fatty liver disease, right? And fatty liver disease is associated with insulin resistance, blood sugar dysregulation. It's associated with diabetes, obesity, people being overweight, but you can also be pretty lean or thin and also have fatty liver disease. Again, fructose consumption is a big issue. Number two is pesticides, things like glyphosate, which is actually an herbicide, but other pesticides and other phthalates like BPA, very much associated with causing liver cell damage as well as fatty liver disease. So this is really big. About 30% of our population now is dealing with, or will deal at some point in their life, with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And that number has doubled just in the last 20 years. And so this is a big issue, and we really need to have strategies to heal it. So first thing we got to do is a blood sugar friendly diet. So again, we got to take out sugar, fructose, right? High fructose corn syrup. And we need to make sure we're getting rid of, or at least minimizing, the amount of grains that we're consuming. Consuming grains is going to drive up our blood sugar, drive up our insulin, and can cause the accumulation of high triglycerides and fatty liver disease. And so we want to reduce those. We want to reduce our consumption of seed oils. That's going to be things like corn oil, soybean oil, safflower, cottonseed, peanut oil, sunflower oil. We want to get rid of those things, or minimize our consumption of those. Canola oil would be another one. They're very inflammatory, drive up oxidative stress in the body, create insulin resistance in our system, and drive up overall inflammation in our body. So we've got to get rid of those. And then as much as possible, we're trying to remove toxins. So doing our best to try to get organically grown produce, so organic fruits and vegetables, and then grass-fed, wild-caught, or pasture-raised animal products. So we're trying to stay away from conventionally grown, conventionally raised animal products because they're lower in nutrients and they have a lot more chemicals in them, a lot more pesticides, herbicides, phthalates, microplastics, all different types of toxic compounds, xenoestrogens that are damaging to the liver, right? And then they've got a lot more nutrients when we use the grass-fed or grass-fed animal products. And then of course with our produce, fruits and vegetables, trying to get organic as much as possible. If something has a skin that you're going to eat, like for example, you get a berry, a blueberry, you're not going to peel it, right? You're going to eat the skin. You definitely want to make sure you're getting that organic. As opposed to something like an avocado. When an avocado is not ripe, it's like hard as a rock, and so pests can't really penetrate that. So avocados, there's very minimal amounts of pesticides and herbicides that are used. So that's a safer one. It's always much lower with overall pesticides and herbicide content. So that's one that you could get away with getting non-organic, right? So the Environmental Working Group actually has a list where they have the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. You can look at that, figure out which ones you want to make sure you're getting organic, which ones you don't get organic, or at least you're able to get away with less toxins when you get them non-organic. And again, it always comes down to typically, things that have a really rough exterior, they tend to be lower in pesticides and herbicides. Things that have more of a thinner exterior, think about celery, grapes, things like that. Those ones you definitely want to make sure you're getting organic. So blood sugar friendly diet, I always recommend about 30 grams of protein in every single meal, roughly 20 to 40 grams or so of healthy fats in every meal, coming from things like grass-fed butter, coconut oil, avocados, extra virgin olive oil, grass-fed meats, pasture-raised eggs. That's where you should be getting your fats, your protein, at least 30 grams in your meal, 30 to let's say 60 or 70 grams if you're really trying to develop lean body tissue, if you're very active, you might need, 50, 60, 70 grams of protein in a meal, but at least 30, no matter where you're at, trying to get about 30 grams in every meal. That's going to give you a satiation. It's going to help bring down your blood sugar, stabilize your insulin levels, help you burn fat more effectively for fuel. So it's going to improve your metabolic health. And that's one of the first steps when it comes to healing fatty liver disease. Number 2 is intermittent fasting. As we get that blood sugar-friendly diet, we get more satiated between meals, and so now we're able to go longer periods of time without eating. And that's really powerful for helping your body burn fat and reduce inflammation. And as you start getting into fat-burning mode, you go 12, 14, 16 hours without food, your body starts breaking down your own body fat. And it knows the body fat it needs to break down first. It's the most damaging fat, particularly the fat around the liver. That's highly inflammatory fat. We want to use that as a fuel source and get it off the liver so the liver can really function the way it's supposed to, so we can reduce the amount of inflammatory compounds that are being released into circulation. So fasting will help do that. So we get the diet right, get our blood sugar stable with the principles I talked about, then we start going longer periods of time without food, 16, 18 hours maybe even doing a 24-hour fast once a week can be a really powerful way to burn more of that excess visceral fat and fat around our liver. Number 3 is bitter herbs. There's an acronym I use. It says bitter is good for your liver, and that's because there are compounds within these astringent or bitter herbs or vegetables that are really powerful for liver health. They help to regenerate liver cells. So when we think about bitter herbs, easy ones to get in our diet are things like parsley, right? You can get parsley at your grocery store, ideally getting it organic. Having a little parsley with every meal will help stimulate bile flow, will help open up the bile ducts, and actually provide compounds that help to nourish and regenerate liver cells and burn the fat around the liver. Dandelion is another good one. Artichoke, ginger, yarrow, arugula. Arugula is a great green leafy vegetable that you can use as like a replacement for spinach. It's actually lower in oxalates, these harmful plant compounds, than spinach, and it's loaded with powerful nutrients, and it's bitter and really good for stimulating liver function. So I love arugula. Yarrow is a harder one to get, but you'll find that in a lot of herbal teas. You can find some organic herbal teas that have things like yarrow, dandelion, ginger in them, and that's great to be drinking on a daily basis to help support liver health. Number 4 is castor oil packs. Castor oil has nicotinic acid in it, and that is really powerful for dilating or opening up the bile ducts and helping the liver to dump toxins and helping to regenerate liver cells. So basically, you just get a castor oil pack, you put the castor oil on it, put it up over your liver, which is on the upper right quadrant of your abdominal region. You put that over it, and you just kind of tie that flannel in, let it sit for 30 to, I think you need to do about 45 to 60 minutes roughly to kind of let it all sink in and dry in. A lot of people will just do that and let it sit overnight, right? They'll just sleep with it, take it off in the morning, and that gets in there and really powerfully starts to help regenerate those liver cells, stimulate liver detoxification, stimulate better bile flow, helps get rid of gallstones and congestion in the bile ducts. So very powerful stuff, castor oil packs. Number 5, this is important. Deal with anger and unforgiveness. So in Chinese medicine, the liver is actually the seat, the organ system where we hold anger, bitterness, and unforgiveness. And so when we're holding on to those things, the liver is one of the main organ systems to suffer. And so people that have fatty liver or liver cirrhosis, there's a huge correlation with those people having trauma when they were young, maybe with a parent, maybe sexual abuse or physical abuse of some type, mental, emotional abuse. And oftentimes they're holding on to anger that they've just never really addressed from that trauma, and they're holding on to bitterness and unforgiveness. And so if you want to have healthy liver health, if you want to just healthy mind, body, and spirit, you have got to really deal with that and deal with the root cause of that, and and forgive whatever situation or circumstance you dealt with. I know a lot of people have dealt with some really serious issues, and I don't want to make light of that, but if you want to get healthy, you've got to come to terms with that. So seek out counseling, look for a great pastor or a counselor that can really help support you with this and walk you through this process, a great friend, family member that can walk you through this process, because you've got to go through this healing process in order to get your liver health healthy and well. So deal with anger and unforgiveness. Number 6, let's talk about some supplements. Glutathione is one of the best things. It's one of the most important compounds. It's actually what we call our master antioxidant. It's so critical for buffering oxidative stress in our body. And we have fatty liver disease. That's a sign that we have excess oxidative stress and inflammation in our body. So we've got to upregulate our glutathione levels. And there's a lot of good research on a compound called N-acetylcysteine, NAC. Cysteine is actually the rate-limiting amino acid. Glutathione is actually 3 amino acids combined. That's what you need in order to produce it. Cysteine is the rate-limiting one. So when we consume or supplementally take N-acetylcysteine, that helps upregulate glutathione. A lot of great research on it showing how N-acetylcysteine, roughly 500 to 1,000 milligrams a day, great clinical benefits for helping heal fatty liver disease, regenerate damaged liver cells, and help our body detoxify and heal more effectively. Other supplements that can be helpful, milk thistle. Milk thistle, outside of N-acetylcysteine, is the most well-studied herb. It's a bitter herb, harder to get in your diet, right? I mean, you don't see milk thistle around too often, but you can find teas with it, and easy to supplement with. There's a lot of great milk thistle supplements out there, and so supplementing with roughly around 500 milligrams a day in divided doses, very powerful for helping regenerate liver cells, helping you burn excess visceral fat from your liver, and healing fatty liver disease. Also, choline. Choline is a compound that we find in a lot of different foods. For example, eggs are the most nutrient-dense source of choline. There's about 150 milligrams of choline in your average egg. Okay, and choline is so critical for overall liver health. It's actually a bile salt, so it helps with good bile flow. And so when bile gets very congested, it ends up creating a lot of oxidative stress and damage in the liver. And that increases inflammation in the liver, damages the liver cells, so we get liver cell death, and we get increased amount of liver fat that ends up forming in those areas and scar tissue in our liver. So choline, research has shown that when you're choline deficient, you get this sort of very congested bile, this oxidative stress and inflammation and liver cell death that leads to fatty liver. So we need to make sure we're getting enough choline. You need roughly somewhere around 500 to 600 milligrams at a minimum on a daily basis, okay? Unless you're fasting, obviously, then don't worry about it. But on a day-to-day basis, to deal with all our metabolic needs, produce enough bile, and to get the bile moving properly, 500 to 600 milligrams. So that's going to be roughly 3 to 4 eggs a day. If you take a look at like beef liver, for example, there's about 100 milligrams in a 3-ounce form of beef, and in beef liver, actually, there's I believe about 250 milligrams in a 3-ounce form of beef liver. So beef liver is actually your best source of it, but most people aren't eating 3 ounces of beef liver. But you can get supplements like grass-fed beef liver supplements, where it's desiccated beef liver, freeze-dried beef liver, and you're able to supplement with that, and you're able to get a good dose of choline in that to help prevent fatty liver disease, help heal fatty liver disease, and help support good bile flow through our system. And then another great supplement is called TUDCA. TUDCA is actually a bile salt. It's been shown to help regenerate liver cells, help support good bile flow, and help prevent oxidative stress in the liver, which ends up leading to liver cell death as well as fatty liver disease. So taking TUDCA as well can be really, really helpful. So these are the strategies right here. I gave you a lot to work on right there, a lot of great strategies. But if you apply these things, you can absolutely prevent fatty liver. You can heal fatty liver. I mean, I've seen numerous people, dozens of people, heal fatty liver naturally by following these exact same strategies. And so if they can do it, you can absolutely do it as well. And if you know anybody, a friend, a family member that's dealing with fatty liver, please share this video with them. It can literally change and save their life. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, now is the time to do that. And also hit the bell button. That way you get notified whenever I put up a new video, so you never miss one of these important trainings. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for being a part of our community, and I'll see you guys in a future video. Be blessed, everybody.